I love doing this because I get to interview authors all around the world. People go through a lot, and you see these people come out on the other side, and they still lift up their voices to say, yes, God is faithful through it all. Like, it's just wonderful.
Isn't it cool how Howard was able to evangelize his son 35 years later? When I get to heaven, I want to see Isaiah. I will eventually run down, unless the Lord sustains. The Lord will sustain as long as he has a use for me. Did you know that it is really there, as the scriptures indicate?
This is the Christian Readers Community Podcast.
Jan Johnson has been married to her husband Ed for 35 years. They live on a 26-acre farm where her husband raises sheep. Jan likes sheep from a distance. They raised 10 kids and had 5 exchange students. Jan has taught everything from preschool to high school, and now that she's retired, fills her time with building relationships, writing, and podcasting. She's written 6 books, including My Heart's for You. You can find her online at https://janjohnson.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Christian Readers Community Podcast. My name is Faith Jiga, and I'm so excited to be back. And I have a wonderful lady here with me. Before we came on this recording, before we started recording this interview, rather, I had a very wonderful and interesting conversation with her, and I can't wait for her to share with you. I'll just go on ahead and introduce her to the show. Welcome to the show, Jan Johnson.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with your listeners.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here. And this is one of the reasons why I like doing this, because you get to meet lots of interesting people with lots of amazing stories, really. And it's an honor to have you. So thank you once again for joining me.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll ask you to tell us a little about yourself, how you started your writing journey. And yeah, so tell us how it started.
Well, I've always liked to write some things, even as a little girl, I wrote a book called The Red Man about a little Mars creature that my dad actually bound into a little book. So that was kind of fun. But over the years, I just like to, I wrote a lot in journals and things. But when my first husband had a brain tumor, he was writing in his journal. And after he died and I read his journal, I couldn't believe all the things that God was doing with him. And I really, truly felt like God was calling me to write his story. And so that was really the start of my series. He had written this journal, and inside of there, it was kind of the things just trying. He had a brain tumor, and knowing that it was going to be terminal, just wrestling with God. What was God doing with him? What did he mean to do with him? What would it be like to die? What was heaven like? What was it like to go through hardships? Because after his surgery, he ended up paralyzed on his right side. And so it just, all of those questions and things, but through his digging deep into scripture and listening to God, he had a very profound experience where God just met him. He called it the fourth dimension. And I think it might have been just similar to what John was like when he wrote Revelation. Just a really powerful experience there. So, it took me a long time to figure out how to write that because, just publishing somebody's journal is, like, where would that go? So,
yeah, right.
Right. So I wrote it as a memoir. I took a lot of writing classes, went to conferences, listened to a lot of writing podcasts, and just how to hone in my craft of learning that. But anyway, would you like me to tell you about that story?
Sure. Would like to hear
it. So there were a lot of miracles that happened through this. You know, I mean, when something bad happens, I think that's, rather than getting in the midst of, why is this happening to me? I think we need to ask God, what should we be learning in the midst of this? What are you trying to teach us, or how are you trying to refine us? And how will you use our stories? And I think if we look at things that way, we find out just the richness of who God is and how he provides and his unfailing love. So some of the things that happened with us the night that, the night that he died, he had been doing really well, and he came into our bedroom that night and was holding his head because he was hemorrhaging. And as I'm just praying to God, like, okay, is this it? Or do I need to take him to the hospital? Is he just having a seizure? Because he had a lot of those. And it was there when I just sat in silence a moment, and God's audible voice, this is the only time this has ever happened to me, said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil." And that's when I knew that was, when he was going to die. And so I just looked at him and I said, "You're going home. What you really wanted all this time is to go home, and you get your wish today."
Oh.
And so then I did call an ambulance, and in the hospital he was unconscious. But when I went in to see him, he sat up and he reached for the skies and he said, the angels are here."
Wow.
It was just so beautiful, because I knew then that was, it was a joyful time, to know that he's really going to be in the presence of Jesus.
This is actually wonderful because, wow, because I've only read this in books, where you see someone, who is about to, let me put it this way, go home to be with the Lord. And when it's time, you see them somehow even, so then it's a few seconds before they finally stop breathing and before their bodies stop moving, they say, "Oh, I've seen," it's sort of like they're seeing what they're about to go into, the glory that they are being called into. And they answer the call with so much joy before they breathe their last. I've only seen it in books. I think you're actually one of the first person saying, or maybe you're the first person, saying that you've actually experienced this.
Yeah.
Really. Wow.
Yeah. It was just a real special time. I only have had a few experiences where I've been able to sit with someone who is dying, but to me, if they're a Christian, it's just like, first of all, if they've been in pain for a long time or some kind of illness, it's like a release from all of that, and to be able to know that they're going to be in the presence of Jesus, who's just waiting there, arms open. I mean, what more could we want?
Well, but some might actually say it's painful to lose a loved one, really.
Mm-hmm. And it is.
What was it like for you? And how did you finally get to that stage when you decided that you're gonna finally go and read his journal and turn it into a memoir?
Can I read a little part of it?
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Okay. So part of it that was just so rich was, he said, "I have an unquenchable desire to ingest the scriptures to the point of wearing down my body, not caring for anything but the scriptures and the meanings thereof. I will eventually run down unless the Lord, did you know that it is really there as the scriptures indicate? Unless the Lord sustains. The Lord will sustain as long as he has a use for me.
Wow.
And
Wow.
he said, is there any scripture reference indicating that Jesus prayed all night? I'm under the compulsion, driven to ingest and digest the scriptures, and I'm going to do my part to forever push forward. It's only a matter of how much time the Lord will grant me this compulsion. As far as I'm concerned, compel me on, Lord. Make me a man driven to ingest the scriptures. Compel me forth. I've been up 24 hours straight, and I'm not even tired.
What?
He was just so, it was his whole life, you know. And I think
Wow.
that's the things we talked about before, because
Yeah.
he talked about, well, when I get to heaven, I want to see Isaiah, and I want to talk to James, and I want to.
Yeah, finally getting to meet those biblical heroes, people you've read about, their challenges and the miracles they went and everything, and you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to go and see them. I don't know what to say, but it's really amazing. And it recalls to mind, what we were talking about before we started this recording. You said something. You said when people find themselves in certain situation, in a difficult place, you shouldn't go into the state of, Lord, why is this happening to me?
Right.
And yeah, we see this playing in the life of your first husband in a time of pain like this, time of sickness. He, instead of complaining and thinking, oh, I'm going to be leaving a young wife and 3 little children, I'm going to leaving them behind, who's going to take care of them? God, why is this happening to me? He decides to take the time to study the scripture. Said to say, okay, I'm going to spend my, what's left of my time here on earth to love God, to serve Him. Wow, it's actually wonderful, really, really, and I'm so glad you turned this into a memoir. So, what finally made you to say, okay, I'm gonna do this in memory of my late husband? Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt so strongly that that's what God wanted me to do. And so it was just always in the back of my mind how to do this, how to make this happen, So it was an interesting thing because I made an audio version recording of this book as well. And so I asked my son, Kyle, to come up and do that with me because he lives in North Hollywood and he does voiceover. And so he was professional at it. And so he came up to Oregon and he had probably only been to church 4 or 5 times since he left home and he's now he's in his 40s. But he didn't really know his dad because he was only 3 when he died. And so, just some pictures and things, but not really knowing who he was. So when he read through Howard's journal for those parts of the book and through, his speaking and the things where I had him in there, when Kyle does a voiceover, he becomes that character. And as he was reading, particularly the journal parts, he had a moment where he just paused and I got choked up and then he had been going to church with me those few weeks while he was here and absolutely loved it. And then we started watching The Chosen together and he loved that and asking questions and wanting more. So after he went home, I was just thinking about the whole experience and God just stopped me and said, isn't it cool how Howard was able to evangelize his son 35 years later? It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah, it's such a surreal situation, surreal moment, and it's wonderful living what you have for your children and finally getting to evangelize to his son, as you said. 35 years later.
So after I wrote that book, I wanted to do something fun because it was hard. I had remarried, and my present husband, Ed, had 2 natural and 2 adopted kids, and then I had my 3, so that gave us 7. And then we had 3 more together, which is a whole other story. But so number 10,
not a big family.
Was working as a nurse at OHSU, a large hospital, and she worked on a floor with really difficult patients on a night shift. And so in the mornings she would call on her way home and tell me these crazy patient stories. And she had a couple of close nurse friends. And so together we started writing some medical romances. So based on some of the things of that. But inside of those, I added some, deeper kinds of things, So in the first book, besides Caitlin, the main character, really wanting to find the man of her dreams, she ends up with Luke, who works with a nonprofit. And in all of my books, I put personal experiences because, you write what you know, right?
Yeah.
So we've had sponsored kids in other countries for about 40 years. And in fact, this week, we're going to Honduras to go visit some of them. But so I included Luke as working for an organization that had sponsored kids. And in the midst of them going to visit there, they find a girl that ends up being sex trafficked. And so they try and work through trying to put together a safe house and bringing that together. And then in the second one, there's 3 books in that series. The second one I had, so there's 4 characters in there, so I use each of those characters, the main characters. So Caitlin's roommate, Tina, ends up with her man, Nate, and Tina had a brother that had Batten disease and died from that. And then her mother died from cancer. But her dad and mom had created a foundation for Batten disease. And so Tina kind of gets lost in the middle of things because she's not the center of attention. And so she and her dad have a strained relationship. But then she meets Nate, who is a researcher at her dad's Batten Foundation, and his story is his dad is a drug addicted, and so he has to go through some trying to work through his relationship with his dad as well, and come to some forgiveness and redemption. All of the stories have redemption in them, and just questioning who God is and really, what's going on. In the midst of those things without being preachy, Yeah.
I love the without being preachy part.
Some books that are Christian books, they're just like, they have to tell the whole salvation story, or I don't know. With it's like, okay, well. And then the last book in the series, Olivia is adopted, and she's trying to figure out, she decides she wants to find her birth mom to tell her thank you for giving her life. And this story is really based on a friend, a girl that I had interviewed, but I had known her mom when she had adopted Amy as a baby. And so basically this story, as Olivia starts searching for her birth mom, she ends up finding out that she's an abortion survivor.
What?
Yeah. And this was my friend Amy's story. And so with her permission, and she helped me to write this story so it was accurate. And, and I just try in my books to bring forth some things that maybe people haven't thought about or experienced or something, to bring them. Yeah, like that.
Look, and you said your book is medical romance, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. So, let's talk about the research aspect of your book, or of your writing rather. How did you go about, doing the researches, trying to be accurate in your writing?
Yeah, lots of research, all kinds of research. In fact, I think when I did my last book, The Way to My Heart, which was the abortion survivor, I really wanted to go deep into what people who were adopted were going through in how to search and how to find and the emotions that were involved. I used Amy as well. I did a lot of YouTubes actually, just people telling experiences and trying to dig deep so that you really could get to that emotional impact in there. When I was doing about the sex trafficking, so I did went to a lot of sites about that and researched what had to be in place for a safe house and what kind of things, were needed. So yeah, I do a lot of research.
Mm-hmm. So if someone picks up this book, what is that core message that you're trying to pass across to them?
I think overall that God is always present and he knows what he's doing, and he has unfailing love for you. He can help you through forgiveness of others and bring you to a point where you can accept forgiving someone, not meaning that they weren't wrong, but that forgiveness frees you and that he's a constant. His promises are true and he's constant and he's a God of redemption in all situations.
Wow. A God of redemption in all situations. Do you have the book in every format?
Yes.
Or...
Yeah, they're in print, ebook, and audio.
Audio. Oh, okay. This is wonderful. So if someone wants to get a copy of either the memoir or your medical romance trilogy, how would they be able to get a copy of the books?
They're on Amazon.
Oh.
Also available on my website.
Oh, okay. So what's your website?
It is jan-johnson.com.
Okay, jan-johnson.com.
Correct.
Okay. That's also where they will be able to reach you, right? If they want to do that. For anyone who would like to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
And also subscribe to your newsletter as well.
Right. I have the newsletter and the newsletter mainly goes with my podcast, which is called Just Talking About Jesus.
A very beautiful podcast. And tell us about your podcast, because I would soon be on your podcast. So for anyone who would like to hear me share my story, can also watch out for it and listen until when that one comes out. So tell us about your podcast.
Yeah. So I had been doing a podcast called Women of the Northwest, Ordinary Women Leading Extraordinary Lives. And I'd gotten to about 100 episodes of it. And God started prompting me to do a faith-based. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I already am doing all these other things you want me to do. Because I was writing 3 books at a time. Also just finished writing a Bible study. So, and I'm kind of cause I know it's a lot of work to do and to do things right and whatever. So, but finally, as I'm interviewing some people, because my other podcast was not faith-based, it was just, I might say a few things here and there if it was appropriate, but I didn't overtly, promote it as such. But I'd be interviewing someone, like there was a friend that I interviewed and her husband had died from Huntington's disease. And then she found out that 5 of her 6 kids had it as well.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, but to not really talk about Jesus and what he was doing in her life was really hard. And I thought, okay, God, you're right. So, as always, right?
Yeah.
So he just brings all these people into my life that are like, oh, yeah, that would be, what a great story. And some are testimonies and some are just talking about, who he is or different aspects of being a Christian.
I love doing this because I get to interview authors all around the world. Christian authors.
I know so many people, and it just strengthens, I'm sure,
Yeah.
strengthens your faith as well as
Yes.
as mine. And you just see common themes and things. God is faithful. God has a plan. God is unfailing love. God redeemed me. God took me from a pit and brought me out. And if he could do it with them, he could do it with me.
Yes. Yes. On this podcast, I've heard stories that made me cry. I was so embarrassed, when I did that. I was like, wow, people go through a lot and you see these people come out on the other side and, they still lift up their voices to say, yes, God is faithful through it all. Like, it's just wonderful.
I'm anxious to share your story.
Oh, yeah, me too.
It will be good because the Holy Spirit will tell us what to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, Jan, I really enjoyed my conversation with you. Thank you so much for making me laugh and, making me smile. I'm currently smiling.
Oh, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for taking time to be with me today.
Yeah, same here, and you're welcome. And I would definitely love to have you back, whenever you have a new release. We should still expect something from you, right? Or is this the end of the road? I always ask my guests this question.
No, well, I just finished writing the Bible study, which I'm pretty excited about too. I'm trying it
Oh,
out with
great.
a little study group to really see how it's working together. But that's called Discovering Your Journey and finding God in every step. And so that one's pretty fun. But the next story that God told me. So my youngest daughter that helped write the romances is now a nun.
Whoa. Oh, I'm sorry.
And so the title God gave me for the next
Now
book.
that's interesting.
I know. The title God gave me for the next book is Nuns with Guns.
Ooh. Is it going to be another medical romance or is it going to be a thriller?
No, it's just going to be a holiday caper.
From being a nurse to a nun. Oh,
Right.
dear.
Yeah. Well, I think God will still use her as a nurse.
Wow. That's
But not in
interesting.
the romantic area.
Thank you so much, Jan. This has really, really been a fun interview. I had a wonderful time talking to you, and I hope our listeners enjoyed, listening to this. And if you enjoyed it, go get a copy of Jan's book and read it. And I hope it ministers to your heart. As she said, she has a message for you, whether you pick up the memoir or you pick up any of the medical romance books. I hope it ministers to your heart the way God intended it to. So with this is where I'll be drawing the curtain. Thank you once again, everyone, for listening. And I'd like come your way again next time. I'm saying stay safe, stay blessed, and bye bye, everyone. Thank you.